Hey everyone, what's up? It is a new episode of the Deepest Dream podcast. I don't have another separate name. Just know that right now, for this podcast, we are primarily recapping Real Housewives of Rhode Island, or you can call it The Real Housewives of Rhode Island. I started off with Real Housewives of Rhode Island because I think it's a little bit more social media type thing, interesting, or RHORI, which my partner in crime, Deandra Miranda, partner in crime in a platonic way. Sometimes you say, right, Deandra Miranda, how are you? How are you doing this week? Pleasure.
I'm doing actually really great. It's Tuesday and I love our Tuesdays. I feel like we get through like the Monday hustle and I always enjoy seeing you, but it's Taco Tuesday.
That's a lie. Number one, Deandra just said she enjoys seeing me. I think we're trying to be a truthful podcast here, Deandra. What's going on with this?
I mean, I do enjoy seeing you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to get some makeup tips from you.
Oh, makeup. Deandra, at the last, on the video here, if you guys are seeing us on YouTube, or you could subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your podcast platform is. Thank you so much for your support. Also, the website is deepestdream.com. I do a lot of entertainment news and whatnot on the website. But going back to what Deandra said, after we taped our first episode last week, she said, Greg, or sometimes she calls me Gramps because I'm 54. I'm a little bit on the way. I'm southwards towards my humanity. I'm getting closer to the end, my end days. But she said, Gramps, were you wearing makeup? And unfortunately not. I do look like I wear makeup, but it's just a little bit of moisturizer.
Listen, you're aging like a fine wine. I think you look good. Like your skin is glowing. You
got
the manicure look going on. I mean, you take it as a compliment.
Did you say I'm aging like fine wine or I'm Asian fine wine? So which one?
Well, if you're Asian, you'd be like soju.
Soju, very, very good. So, by the way, we're going to get into the episode 5 recap of RHORI, Real Housewives of Rhode Island, in a moment. But if you want a little bit more information about the friendship, the lifelong friendship, and just information on Deandra Miranda and myself, we're going to do, maybe we do this every episode. I'm going to let Deandra follow the lead on that. But maybe after every recap, we'll give just little pieces of our lives so you can add context to what we think of the show, or you don't have to know what we're about, because this is right now this is all about RHORI. But if you want to know, we're gonna tack some stuff out towards the end. Are you gonna think about some of the personal stuff you want to add towards the end of this episode, Deandra Miranda? What do you think?
Well, I think what's really good about this, and I always want to preface to all of our listeners, is you really could dive into our show, whether you're doing it in synchronicity or not. Is we just really wanted to come and create a platform that's just fun, lighthearted, really like engaging, talking about like the pop culture, talking about the show that we're both really interested in. But also, this is what friendly dialogue's all about. It's two best friends getting together, recapping. And so, yeah, I think hearing our backstory is a good thing, seeing like where we came from and where we are today. But the number one thing is it's just amazing. We've had a friendship for 17 years now. So it's amazing that we're both still immature. So that's
it's 17. It feels like 30. I am aging. You have aged me. I used to be young, and I'm not gonna say handsome, but I used to be young, and now you've aged me. I'm gonna blame all the wrinkles. That's why I need the makeup.
I've heard that actually a lot. That's normally like my dating type. They're like, wow, I can't. You've aged me too much. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
If I date someone for 3 months, it feels like 5 years. So
Deandra is actually a catch of a human being, whether you're a friend or her soulmate. She's a complete catch. But I will say this.
Now you're lying. Now you're lying.
I have to be. I'm a little bit lying, just a little bit lying. But
did our sponsors pay you?
Yeah, no. I'm half lying. She's a wonderful catch. But I'll say this, very funny, Deandra. What's more important than Greg Strzavosty? I'm going to name myself in third person, or her prospective soulmates, or possibly her career or her daily life. I think, and I'm going to put words in her mouth, the most important thing, right, is Bravo, the Bravo universe, right? Okay.
I was raised by Bravo. And what's great about it is, just like you and our friendship is, Bravo is very authentic. I know that they always say that reality TV started with, what was that one? Survivor.
Okay, right,
then
exactly.
was a Big Brother. Then obviously it's spilled out to most TV nowadays is reality TV. But what's really nice is it's authentic, like you and our relationship and our friendships, where what really just keeps you going back to these type of genres or like this category of TV is just, it's entertaining, it's fun, it's a wow factor. I mean, we're going to jump into it. Even with this last episode, is from start to finish, I literally wanted to call you right when it was over. It just to be like, what? I can't even believe in what I'm seeing in real time. It's wild. Yeah. It is literally one of the best shows on television right now. drama, factor. I mean, I'm completely blown away.
Okay, blown away. First of all, when you have that feeling after you're watching an episode that you want to call me, don't, because oh, yeah.
I knew you were sleeping. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I knew it was your bedtime.
That's the truth. But no, I'm a little bit more energetic than that. I'll sleep at 4:15. I give me a little bit, give me a little credit here for this old man.
It's past your bedtime now.
Definitely right now. It's definitely past my bedtime.
In New York, yeah.
Oh, right. By the way, I just want to say this, a little teaser before we get into episode 5 recap for RHORI. I will, as far as personal stuff between me and Deandra, we're talking about lies. I guess lies is just a little mini half joke theme of this episode. I didn't lie to Deandra, but I did hold back information regarding my personal relationship and possible love for Bravo. Did not mention about it, so I will surprise her after our recap. So that's a little bit of a personal teaser I have that we have.
At least it's not delusion, because in this episode it's all about delusion.
Oh, very, very good.
In avoidance. A lot of avoidance. I'm a New Yorker, so I go really head in, so I'm just shocked.
Okay, yeah. Deandra goes head in, family show, but I will say this. Very, very important. Everything that we're talking, I think we're gonna get to some salacious, saucy stuff. I'll be dropping allegedlys all the time. Allegedly.
And I will be forgetting, and he'll be saying allegedly for me. So
yeah, because I have really very little value. So a lot of the meat will be from Deandra's stuff, and I'll just go allegedly. So we'll get right into episode 5. The title of this episode for Real Housewives of Rhode Island is Schooner or Later. Very good title because they're on a schooner. Don't even know how to pronounce it, but they're on a boat for a little bit of the episode, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. But first, on our Google Doc, I put the first event for episode 5 is Alicia and Jo-Ellen. They get together. Jo-Ellen just lost her grandfather. She's very close to her grandfather. Rest in peace. There's just a little bit of an aside to her remembering her grandfather. But then ultimately, that's a little bit of a nice, sweet moment. And then Liz and Alicia, they catch up. Liz also joins this conversation. They catch up on not just the grandfather, that's just a couple of moments, but they talk about what happened previously on that last episode where it was Jo-Ellen was talking about Rosie's antics, and they also recapped Alicia's very iconic episode 4 remark to Rosie, "Welcome to Rhode Island, bitch." Liz laughs at Jo-Ellen when she says she's empathetic. I think that was my first laugh in the moment because you recently saw this. What did you think when Liz started laughing when Jo-Ellen was saying that she's a very nice, empathetic person? Was that rude from Liz to say? What did you think of that?
I thought it was, again, this is why Liz is the OG right now, right? She's just someone who keeps it authentic. She keeps it real. You could tell the more I'm watching her, the more I'm captivated by her. Like you said prior, is you know what? She's a very strong woman. And you could tell that Liz has probably seen a lot of bitches back in her day and a lot of people who it's like maybe like a snake or manipulation. You could tell that she's someone who sniffs out, and she's someone who wears her emotions and her heart on her sleeve. So I feel like again, it's foreshadowing. Maybe there's some elements that I don't see because I think Rosie is nosy, like she coined herself, but I don't personally see, I'm like Liz, but I'm also like Liz where I'm direct, a little bit headstrong, where I don't see that empathetic side quite yet. I don't see it.
I think from the first 5 episodes, Liz is pretty much the ringleader of the whole group. Do you think that's going to change as the episodes and as the season progresses? Or do you think if RHORI has it correctly, Liz should be the center of the show as far as maybe the leader? Or am I getting it inaccurate? Do you see something different regarding a leader? Is there a leader?
No, I think she's definitely the head bitch in town. I think what's really lovely about Liz is she doesn't need to have that position. I think she's just someone who probably went through life just very dominant. She is beautiful. She's strong. She has a very unique look to her. That long, beautiful hair. She's kind of a little bit tomboy, but very sexy. And so I think that what's interesting is I think right now she's a Lone Ranger type of head honcho. But I could see as maybe the season goes on, she might open up her circle. So she actually might get like a little bit of an army, maybe, because sometimes it might be, maybe she'll infiltrate a few personal relationships and expand her network a little bit, where you never know. Maybe someone will be on an island by themselves, no pun intended, at the end of the season, or maybe it could backfire. So what the interesting part about that is, most times is, especially with a new franchise like this, is you never know how it's going to play out. Sometimes when you are the ringleader, it could go really positive, and you, again, like, people want to look up to you, like Vanderpump Rules, or sorry, at least Vanderpump, Beverly Hills, Kyle, Nene in Atlanta, Bethany in New York, or there's some times where they could be in an island by themselves.
Oh, that's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. You have a really big picture, because this is my first Rhode Island's my first Housewives experience. I'm really loving it. Now, another thing that happened,
even in girls' circles, it ebbs and flows. You could be really close in girls' circles, and then something could change the dynamic. So, just coming from a woman in general, I'd be interested to see how is she going to be like, still like that queen bee, or maybe it might backfire.
Do you think there's anyone who could be a queen bee? I think we alluded to this last episode, who can take Liz's crown so far, maybe down the line as far as a queen bee, or do you think she has her throne in place for quite a while just because of how she is?
I've always said it. There's a significant age gap with the other cast members and Liz at times, where I think, again, she's just a natural born leader. I will always say this. I don't really see the villain side. Maybe it says something about me, but I really appreciate, and I really enjoy Jo-Ellen. I think she's a straight shooter. I think she keeps it real. I think she's someone who, she's really not trying to be messy. We're going to talk about when she sat down with Rulla, I really feel like it was a genuine place. Come on, girlfriend. You're so beautiful. You're so successful. This is a constant. At first, it was fun. Several episodes before, where she was being nosy and stuff like that, and she really wanted to create the drama. Now with their personal one-on-one sit down, and her actually pulling her aside at the polo match away from the circle, I think it showed a lot of respect. I think it showed a lot of respect, where she was like, woman to woman, I really do want you to understand, and it's not for the drama. So I really loved how she handled it. I think she handled it like a sincere, genuine woman. I think she handled it as someone who cares about her, even if they've had their differences. No one pulled her this side the way that she did, and I thought it was very authentic.
I think both Liz and Alicia, I don't know if you agree on this, but they both have this, well, I'm at a certain age and a certain point in my life, I'm not going to waste time, especially within episode 4, when Alicia had her argument with, I believe, Rosie, because Rosie tried to actually put Alicia on the spot. They went back and forth, and Alicia's calling her a lot of names. I think she even called her the big W name on one bit, and then and then Alicia squashes it. Her being a very wise person, she just, hey, love ya, let's just do this. We're still mad at each other, but let's just forgive and forget. And I think ultimately Alicia and Liz will be the ones whom they may have their own drama, but they could be possibly the voices of reason on the show.
Yeah, they seem very level-headed, and that's something that I always wonder if it's indicative to the environment. Like they said, Rhode Island is very small. Rhode Island is extremely small. I can only imagine that friend circle small, the woman circle small, business professionals. So I wonder if they're the voice of reason, just because coming from a tiny, tiny state like that, I can only imagine how it's really hard to probably put out some fires. So I think they have years and years of experience.
Well, there's putting out the fires, and there's also setting one's hair or makeup. And hair and makeup is a supposedly big passion for Housewives member Kelsey. And in this episode, towards the beginning, she does Ashley's hair at her own house. It's her boyfriend's house, but on the series, you see it's really her house, because she's the one who's living in this house, I'm assuming, for at least half the year, or most of the year, or that's where her existence is. And it's funny, when Ashley goes into Kelsey's domicile, she was saying you could fit 2 Bachelor shows on the mansion. Dee, what did you think? What do you think of the home, just from an aesthetic level? And do you think Kelsey would be a good hair and makeup hairdresser, just from the way she was handling Ashley and interacting with her?
I mean, the house is obviously, it's very grand. It's something that is, listen, I would take a beautiful house, like in a great estate. I mean, who wouldn't? But it's one of those things where, again, I don't know if it's really interesting. I think if if Kelsey would turn into someone like Alicia, where I wonder if it might turn into a little bit of an identity crisis. It's nice when you live in a beautiful home, but it's really hard when you're not contributing to a beautiful home. You know what I mean? There's a
Right.
whole thing where you're kind of like the Rapunzel in the tower, which I think is really fun until you don't really have your freedom. You can't really do much. Even if you did want to date, you always have to be outside your home. So I would be interesting to see if she's being very transparent and honest, but I'd be really interested to see if like the home and the cars and the clothes might start to not have the same value as they used to, because nothing is great as being in the ivory tower by yourself.
And
Um,
what's interesting about Kelsey is to see she, like you said, she's being accountable, and she says, well, this is a chapter in her life. Possibly down the road, she might want to have a family down the road. Also, she wants to possibly make her own money down the road, which is by default a no-brainer because she is a member of this Bravo universe, so she is making money as I don't even know if the word influencer is the proper word, but as a reality star, she is going to be making that money. So I think it'll be interesting to see how far she can take this
it
journey,
is.
I suppose.
And I actually think she did a great job. I think she did a great job. I think she's been in the pageant world before too. She said, so she just knows really what she knows, like all the upkeep. She knows like all the trends. There's something that I really do. Again, I really am rooting for Kelsey because I think that Kelsey is being honest. She's being very, very open, very transparent. I mean, hello, she's in her boyfriend's house of 11 years. And then she literally brings her other boyfriend to that party and it says Kelsey's boyfriend. And she's being really open and honest about it. Listen, if
Yeah.
her boyfriend is able to do it, obviously there's certain rules that she's able to do it. What I like is she's not coming from I'm looking for a boyfriend out of malice or pettiness. She's being very honest where she just listen, I really want to explore my options. I'm a young, beautiful woman. And the second thing that I love about it is, and I really hope, you know, I'm a girl's girl. I like to support women in business is she's also not trying to put on this arrogance about her. She just, listen, I used to work in hospitality. She was a waitress. She knows the pageant world. She knows cosmetology. So someone, I think she's being like, she's starting from the bottom. And if it works, it works. If the platform takes off, I think she did a great job. Again, being always in that pageant world, but she's being, I support that. I really support her going out there because I can only imagine how vulnerable it is to have everything and then start from base camp one being in cosmetology. So I root for her. I would love to see it. And I think she has a great talent.
I don't know if this is actually even the right term, so you can correct me, but do you think Kelsey has boss girl potential?
No,
Oh, very
no.
interesting. Okay. What did I'm ignorant. What does boss girl mean to you as far as having that potential? What do you think would make about do any of these housewives have that potential or are they already on that level, you think, from your POV?
I think that I'd say Jo-Ellen, Liz have the boss
Hmm.
girl potential. I think Rulla probably has boss girl potential, but we're just seeing her at a really vulnerable time. Again, I've never seen a show on really reality TV where this quick in the game, the foundation of the marriage is cracked. It's exposed. It's headline news. So I can only imagine maybe she would have been a little bit more boss lady if the affair would have been exposed a little bit later, or not saying you should ever prolong your affair, but I think it just put her in a really vulnerable position. You could tell boss lady for sure, but I think
Yeah,
this is like
career
really
woman.
but I think this is really overshadowing a little bit of it's really going to making her very vulnerable, very exposed. The reason why I say no to Kelsey is just because, not in a bad way, she made a great point. She went from her parents' home to her boyfriend's home. She's
Hmm.
never really been on her own. I think there's something a little bit different is when you really got to put food on the table, you got to provide. You really can't go from one place to another is when you're in a very cutthroat environment, whether it's career change, life change, relationship change, you really I think boss, for me, female boss lady vibes are just someone who is, listen, even if she's had her boyfriend for 11 years, it would have been really nice if she really would have started this cosmetology and all this stuff maybe 9 years ago. Be the sugar baby, take all the trips, do that. But if you're not pivoting in this moment of your life, and when you're a boss lady, doesn't matter. You have to show up for yourself every single day. It's not a 9 to 5. You either have the determination or you don't. And I think lounging for 11 years you're either born with the fire or you're not born with your fire. I think she could get to that potential, but I think going from family to someone else taking care of her, she's not really had the feet to her fire.
Yeah, I'm a bit triggered because I'm 54 and I live with my mom. And are you
Can
telling me
I
that
move in?
are you
Do you
saying that
have
I'm
an
not a boss
extra
girl?
room?
I'm not a boss girl? Huh?
I'm just saying is
I'm
I'm the opposite. That's why we're BFS. I am opposite. I moved out very young and I've been on
you're
my own since I've been 19 and
you're a boss lady,
I'm a
boss
boss
woman.
lady. But I mean, you've even seen my transition is when I moved out at 19 years old and I met you, I was the first person, like, I would do this job and that job, and I would literally like create my own companies and do stuff like that. I really dove into the media with you and the entertainment, and then I went on to business. So again, I don't think you've ever seen me satisfied. And I think sometimes when you're a boss girl, you're hungry. You're never satisfied. Even if I was lounging, I'd be probably starting a business or consulting for something. So I just, yeah, I think you have that fire in you. Not everyone, unfortunately, does or taps into it very early.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I think Kelsey's 31 now, and she has the potential possibly, because with this Bravo universe and being a reality star, I think this is a show that is continuing. I don't know if you agree, to gain momentum, D. We'll see what she can do with some of that momentum. Will she be complacent? Will she be lounging, or will she be working towards possibly that boss girl status? Now,
or hopefully she doesn't fall into another relationship, because that's also that's a hard pattern to break. When you're constantly, maybe a celebrity might contact her, an athlete, someone who's a little bit higher stature, and you never want to be going from something to something. Again, you got to take this opportunity individually, because as we're seeing with Rulla, is you can't trust every person out there, unfortunately.
Or who knows, maybe you can trust. We'll get to that's probably a big issue we're going to get to. Episode 5, again, it's called Schooner Later. One of the reasons why it's called Schooner Later is there is a birthday party of Rosie's gay friend Jack. So he's having a birthday party on a boat. Rosie's inviting her friends, and a lot of people know Jack as well, and that circle. So you bring the housewives into this boat party. One of the big issues regarding the boat party is Kelsey has some leftover resentment over Rosie, because when she did Rosie's hair, Rosie did not Instagram the experience. Deandra, did Kelsey have a really valid argument and complaint regarding Rosie not Instagramming that experience? Because Rosie was saying, oh, well, what do you want me to do? Take a picture of the back of my head? I mean, she just throws that out. One of the best lines of the episode. Yeah. Who was right in the argument, or did each of them have their point?
I think each of them had their point. I think if they were to be closer, it would be a whole different story. They're pretty known that they're not close, so I feel the same way. If I'm not really close to someone, of course I throw them a solid if they ask me. But if you're not close to someone, I don't think that you're consciously thinking about, oh, let me support her business. Also, no shade to Kelsey, but she doesn't have a business yet, so it's nice that she's starting, but it's like, she's laying the foundation of what she wants to do. I had no idea that she did hair. She didn't lead with that. She wasn't talking about being in that universe in the very beginning. So I wouldn't think to tag her, because it's like, tag you for what? You don't have it yet. People see you periodically. You don't provide, and you don't live off of that. So, but then I get Kelsey's point as well, where it's just like girl code. It's like, hey, if we're in the same circle, support me. But I think that definitely there should have been a conversation. You can't just expect someone to do something if you're constantly at odds with someone. Call it petty, but
if you were Kelsey at that moment, sorry for interrupting, would you have, if you had Rosie on your chair or you're watching her hair and you're doing her hair, would you, if it was you doing?
I would have taken that opportunity to do it myself. If you want to post and tag someone, you got to take it into your own hands.
Got it.
I would have sat there, post, hey, do you mind? Cool, let's do Instagram lives.
That's right. Do you mind? Do you mind?
And then engage the conversation, where if she would have been in a good mood, loved it, yes, but you can't expect someone, like she said, is to go home and then now do it for you.
Is that why you never tag me on Instagram, Deandra? Because we're not really friends? Or should I be more proactive about it? Should I be more less entitled about it, huh, Deandra? I'm putting you on the spot.
Sometimes I gotta keep you like, a little private. You have what do they say? You got the face for radio.
That's where I'm gonna disconnect the Zoom right now. That's a little bit traumatic. Thank you, Deandra, for that trauma. I'm kidding. Very, very good. So that was that was the big argument on the schooner. And let's see what else. Oh, do you remember? Because did anything really else big happen on the boat? I think that was just a little segment, and that was the big argument. I think
it was, but then again, it's like one of those things where it's not really an argument. That's where they're. I think that's something that it's low hanging fruit. Maybe they wanted to make a moment. Maybe something. I guess it's always the same thing with girls. Sometimes it's always a miscommunication. You really don't mean to do something. Unfortunately, I thought it was a little bit of a reach. I think she was upset, but I would just let it go. I think it was a little bit of a reach. I didn't think it needed a moment. Especially with all the drama that's been happening, especially coming up at Polo, which we're going to discuss, that was something that was just not even, I think that was not, they gave it the 10 minutes it deserved, but I don't think it should have been any more than that.
Okay, and a lingering situation from last episode that you and I talked about. You gave some comments regarding Ashley and her involvement in the series, and I think Ashley, since you're more experienced than I am in this Bravo universe, I'm fine with Ashley just dipping in and out of these events. Ashley is getting her hair done by Kelsey, but still, even with that, the main dramatic moment is Rosie. She wasn't even in the moment because, right? She is.
Yeah.
So I relate to that because and this is half joking, but it's the truth. When I'm in a room, I don't mind just blending in. So I think Ashley is fine blending in, but are you seeing her having more of a presence on RHORI, or are you still having the same thing that she should do more than blend in on these episodes? How are you feeling?
So I think it's really hard it's really hard to gauge Ashley because Ashley has that quality. Like, again, she's been in the ABC circle. Again, she knows what the Bachelor was. She's, this looks like the mansion. Like, she's someone who's been in this business. She said she's an influencer. I had no idea. I mean, she's a very beautiful girl, but I'm wondering if they got her because it is someone who has a presence. She's able to be like, hey, if she has a little bit of a following. I still believe the same way. She's very cute. She's very beautiful. She's very sweet, but I don't know, maybe she might be like a friend of, and you might have to just have someone just with a little bit more presence. I think that with this, just in our day of life these days, which is reality TV, I'm not even saying like Bravo Universe, but any reality TV you're really gonna have that star quality. And like Liz has a star quality without even trying.
Alicia's funny.
Yeah. Alicia's funny. Rulla is interesting. You're like, whoa, this beautiful lady. She's a businesswoman. You know, what's going on with her? We got Jo-Ellen. We got Rosie. She was a reporter. She still kind of gets her hands dirty. I'm still like on the fence with Ashley because I love the sweet innocence, but it's just one of those things where I don't really know what she's gonna give us besides that coffee shop still.
I don't, I love that.
Yeah,
I love coffee shops.
I know she was on a cruise and she went to a coffee shop. It's again like there's no real storyline.
She was on a cruise and they didn't even mention it. They don't even the Bravo production team doesn't even go.
They didn't even film her on the cruise. I mean,
no B-roll.
Yeah, there's no B-roll. They didn't even show her checking into her room. Zero B-roll. She was not like no one followed her, or she didn't even do something that's I'm on my phone. There was no. I think there was a 2-second FaceTime of her either on the cruise or just coming back from the cruise, right? And that's all. Like I think she was on the cruise and saying she like landed at 4. Yeah.
I will say this.
So we got her itinerary, so that's great.
Not in her right, not in her defense. I'm not defending it. And I'm not arguing the point with you, D. But I will say, Ashley's story going into RHORI to me is one of the most interesting parts because she moves with her hubby, her lover, Jared, and their family, and she's trying to adapt to Rhode Island. What a great story to follow. And I am going to lay the onus on the producers, the editors, and hopefully we'll get to see more of that because any person who's trying to adapt to his or her a new environment makes for a great story. So far, like you said, we've only seen the coffee shop. We haven't even seen the cruise. We haven't seen much of Ashley, too much about her story. Maybe there's been a couple of play dates, right, with the kids, but still, I am hoping that there's more. Do you think there might be more? Yeah, okay.
No, we'll hold on. There's more. And like I said, I wish that she really would have leaned into because until I heard about it, I mean, what an amazing story. She was on The Bachelor, didn't get picked on The Bachelor in Paradise. She really fell in love with her now husband.
Yeah, it's
real. He didn't like her, Jared, back in the day on Bachelor in Paradise. He like kicked her off like the island. She was in the car crying tears. I thought we had a connection. Stops the car, comes back into the Bachelor in Paradise mansion and was like, would you guys mind if I stayed? I really don't want to go. Like, again, she had the balls. Like, she really stood on business. And he obviously was like, yes, okay. And I guess they were like best friends, friends forever. They were best friends after the show. And then they really started to fall in love and they married. How do you not lean in with that? You know what I mean? You were on a show, you were kicked off, the guy didn't want you, he picked another girl, you came back, he said yes back to you, you guys were madly in love, the best friends from his relationship, you get married, you have fairy tale, you have 2 beautiful kids, you're on a new hit TV show. How are you not like, how are you not
Okay.
making a splash?
Well, maybe, okay, to play devil's advocate, just to play devil's advocate, maybe thank you for all that backstory because I was clueless. Thank you, Dee, for this. And this is why
She shouldn't be clueless. She's on TV. You should know this. She should be like, oh, these bitches, I eat them for breakfast. I competed with 25 women back in the day for a man's love. Like, I really want to see that confidence from her.
That's going to be interesting. Just because I did not know about all this stuff with Ashley, I knew about the Bachelor in Paradise stuff, but the real backstory, thank you, Dee, for that. Maybe to play devil's advocate, the producers or the writers or the editors, they might be putting her as not a hanger on, but as a person who blends in because she's already had a huge story and her followers are baked in. Do you know what I'm saying? They're already baked into her. No,
I disagree. When you go back on TV, it's to gain a bigger network, a bigger following. Do you think a movie star goes and goes, oh, you know what? I won an Academy Award. All right, you know what? I'm going to go
be a wallpaper, right?
Yeah. I'm going to go, I'm going to go chill for the rest of my life. It's like everyone who is a type personality for television, national television, and has a platform as an influencer. What is a bigger reach network than a show? And you can now steer your brand into any pivot you want. You know what I mean? She could use her influencers to say, hey, I want to go on this. Maybe they'll do another show. Who's really good at it is she's one who's young, relatable. They've been on TV. They have a story. They should be rocking out of the park right now. And then they can possibly have a spinoff show. If you're not being boss girl, like entrepreneurial, like viewpoint, it's like maybe you should be demoted as a friend.
Okay, harsh. No, not harsh words, but realistic words from Dee, who's seen her share of reality TV, has been exposed to the Bravo universe. She knows where a lot of these storylines, and people go. That is some interesting, insightful advice from Dee to Ashley and Jared. And I'm still invested in their coffee shop. I'm still invested.
What do you think? You're in media. Don't you think the same thing?
Yeah, sorry. Again, folks, if you seeing me on video, it's because it's DJ Osmo Pocket 3. It's not a sponsored post. Do not buy it. It just goes off. Okay, I'm sorry, D. So I'm in the media. What do I think? Well, yeah. I think
you guys are all about like image. Good publicity is any publicity is good publicity. Like you should have you're a journalist. You're in media. You should be like, come on, girl. Like she knows how to play the game.
I'm gonna Google what journalist means. I'm gonna look at the definition. No, I'm kidding. Thank you for even calling me a journalist. But yeah, a little bit. I have reported my day. I will say
you started. Come on, you were a reporter before you started.
I was a reporter.
The podcast universe. So
yes, I was.
Listen, you have that Westwood One days.
Yes,
UCLA alum.
How do you? Oh yeah, what? Thank you for reminding me. Again, I'm getting older. Thank you for reminding me about my credentials.
Bruins.
Go Bruins. Go Bruins. Now I will say this. I think I'm just going to give Ashley a little bit of time. There are a lot of strong personalities on the show. And I think that is to the credit of the show. And I'm so locked in. And there's a lot of drama. I have a feeling that Ashley's stuff will get more spotlight, if not this season, but possibly next season. But to your point, Dee, why not make a big splash now as opposed to all these little...
And you're the most well-known. That's the thing.
That's it.
There's people who are not well-known that they use a splash. And again, it works, it doesn't work. But it's like you're well-known. You have this platform. Making Instagram posts are great, but it's like you should be having like sponsors deals. She's beautiful. Look at her smile. Get this press campaign. Let's really pivot these commercials and opportunities.
And you're seeing, because you're seeing in the social media, a lot of people who are getting a lot of run on this first initial season of RHORI are people like Rulla, because of the drama that's going on. But she's getting a lot of attention. There's even Kelsey, who is a newbie. She's getting her share of attention. And we mentioned Liz and Alicia. They have their own brand because they are the OGs of Rhode Island. So I get it. Now I'm finally getting it, because she's the one who should be making a bigger splash, because she was, when the show started, the biggest one in the pond, right? I
Even Rosie, when Rosie was still like
Media.
working at that news station, she said, if your grandfather doesn't know me, like I'm insulted. This is the business. This platform is the platform for women with big egos, big pocketbooks, like big personalities. And as much as I would have loved to be friends with Ashley, it's like every person is hand selected. And if you're like, it's just, again, you got to make a splash. They're the most amazing, good looking couple.
Yeah. Last time I checked, and I think nobody cares. I am straight, but Jared is muy guapo. I say muy guapo, right? Do you concur?
He is. I thought he was a male model.
Yeah.
I was like, what was a male model working at I swear, and then I had no idea he was on The Bachelor. Again, a story I didn't know. Like, very handsome, very, very handsome man.
Very, very, and he knows how to make an espresso. I don't mean that in a pejorative. I think that's good too. But Jared, stop stressing out so much. You're a great-looking guy.
I agree.
You're a great dad. You live in a great neighborhood, I'm assuming, and you have a wonderful career-driven wife, and you're on Housewives as well as one of the incidental characters. It's a lot of great things happening. Now, Dia, a couple of pointed questions before we get to the polo party. There is a very mini scene where we have Rulla and Jo-Ellen. They have this chat in a bar lounge, and Rulla's drink is an espresso martini. Before we start regarding their conversation, espresso martini, I've never had it in my days in downtown LA. Are you martini?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And get this, nowadays, so it's either espresso martini with vodka or tequila. I'm a reposado vodka espresso martini girl. It has a nice caramely. It's good. A little before drink, after drink, amazing. However,
do you pair it with something, or do you pair it with just is it a solo drink?
Normally just like a good time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You pair it with a good time. I gotcha.
I pair it with a good time. No, it's I don't really do it with my meal, but I have to say though, but the key to espresso martini is I like them dark. I don't like them creamy. And I like that coffee.
Martini, right? Martinis, right? Correct?
Yes, but yes.
Okay, yes.
Hey, it's been a long winter. Yeah, I'll take anything at this point. I guess I'm like Brian, right? The house husband, Rolla's husband. I'll take anything.
Oh boy, yeah. Allegedly, this is my first allegedly thing.
Allegedly,
yes.
that was a dig, exactly. But no, with Jo-Ellen, it's on the internet. How's it allegedly? I mean, but no, espresso martini, amazing. I've never done an espresso martini with some guacamole. That was cute, but it's just like Rulla, her drink. It's strong, it's bold, it's beautiful, it's sophisticated. It leaves a lasting impression. So that's why as we roll into the conversation is I'm always shocked that she's in, unfortunately, this vulnerable situation, because just like that cocktail, it has an impact. And I don't think that Rulla understands the power of her just beautiful, smart. And I agree with everyone. She's holding her head so high. She's
very strong.
She's very strong, very graceful. I have to say, she has some big cojones, because I just can't even imagine getting this information, which you're going to discuss when Jo-Ellen is dropping allegedly the bombs, and she is cool as a cucumber. And I'm like, wow, that's a strong woman right there.
Right. So what they ultimately, from my recollection from that meeting with Jo-Ellen and Rulla, Jo-Ellen's just trying to clear the air and say, hey, they're both mutual apologies from the previous engagement when they went at each other, their hubbies went at each other, all that stuff, the drama that happened before, I believe, at Liz's party. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So they're a little bit talking about that. But then ultimately, they're trying to clear the air because Jo-Ellen is spearheading this thing with the texts, the text that she found and all the social media stuff that's going on regarding Brian, right? Brian and the alleged mistress. Supposedly that happened way back in the day, or it's over now, supposedly. So that was just a little mini meeting before the big polo party event. I want to get to the event, but beforehand, there's one more thing. After the espresso martini get together at the bar, they get together at Angelo's Palace Pizza, and I believe Cambridge, Rhode Island. They have a really nice pizza and beer before they get to the van. Everyone is there. I think all of the housewives are there at the event, along with the people who are married and their respective mates. I think some of them, I'm trying to think who's there, but I will say this.
Kelsey brought her new boyfriend. Kelsey brought her second boyfriend, remember?
Brian, yes. Brian's there. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Brian. Yeah. Sometimes I get Brian and Gary mixed up. Jerry and all that stuff.
Very alike, right? I have to say, this cast. So there's a meme. Side note. our viewers, but there's a meme and it's so true. I'm having the hardest time remembering because they all look alike. The women look alike besides Rosie, and they have very similar features. And the men are starting to fuse together and look alike. And there's this thing where it's I might need a CD chart sometimes when we discuss this because I know who I'm talking about, but they really have a lot of strikingly similar features, the wives and the husbands.
It's weird, but they go to Angelo's Palace Pizza, and then they have their pizza. They get together, and then Rulla and her husband Brian, right? They are the last ones to get to the party. But right when they get to the pre-party thing at the pizza place, they get there. But then Brian gets a text regarding, I think his mom is not feeling well. Either she has to go to the hospital or something like that. And it's just so out of the blue. So they can't go on the party bus to get to the polo party. They will go separately. And then
but then it's like some holes in the story because as you're going to discuss, sorry to cut you off, is there's the timeline that doesn't add up. So
were there texts, if I recall, Dee, were there texts? I think Rulla was saying, first of all, did Jo-Ellen go ahead.
He got the call.
Right. And then they had to go.
And then they were like, we had to leave. Then Rulla called back and said, well, he stayed at the hospital.
Right.
So I'm not with him. And as Rulla was supposed to be going with him to see the mother, that's when Jo-Ellen got the receipts of Brian's going to see his mistress. And then when they said, oh, are you going to come? And when Rulla confirmed that she wasn't with him, then the timestamps go and it really unfolds into, again, Brian, I don't know what he's doing. It's delusional because it is happening in real time, that the holes are in the story. The timeline's not adding up. She's able to come after she saw the mom, but then she didn't go to the hospital and stay.
Yeah, and the texts are someone was saying that the texts are either AI or the texts are old from another conversation. It felt a little.
But then but then I don't know if you remember, but once Rulla said that, then that's where it goes into the end of the episode where now this lady, the mistress, alleged mistress, is being very brazen. Now she's doing photos. So you could say now that you could do AI, which I've heard of burner lines and people who like have multiple numbers, but I didn't know about this AI phone number. But now this lady's being very brazen and saying, I'm not a liar, and posting photos. And the car and the house, and that's not AI driven, because how are you going to get a picture of someone's home to recreate it?
And like Dee was mentioning in the last episode, there is a lawsuit, I believe, brewing regarding Brian's ex-mistress regarding possibly an alleged break of an NDA situation. And then if you go into, I put on my Google Doc, WWHL. I believe that's Watch What Happens Live. Yeah. We see Rulla and Brian. It's not a spoiler, but Rulla is still with her husband, and they're raising a family together. And Brian still, whether he's on WWHL or on the show, whether Brian is telling the truth or not, he still looks uncomfortable, which is understandable because he was caught cheating. He admits to the infidelity, but then he is continuously blamed for a continuing infidelity that's allegedly happening. So I understand why he looks nervous, because he's getting it from so many different sides. But
you wouldn't. I don't think you would feel nervous if it's broken up. Hey, I did it again. Address the elephant in the room, because the hard thing about when you're in a toxic type of relationship cycle like that leads to cheating or infidelity or broken trust, right? Say if it was never physical, it's broken trust, it's cheating no matter what, is you can't gag another person. And that's the thing, is they both did their rendezvous. The problem is I don't know if you picked up on it, he's still having the inconsistency. He said, well, I talked to her yesterday. So then Jo-Ellen said, oh, so you're still in contact with the missus? Yeah, I let her know. And Rulla is totally cool. If I heard that my husband was talking to his mistress the day before, I'd be like, why are you still talking to them? What's going on? It's still happening. You don't have to communicate. This is not a business transaction. This is not a splitting and dividing of assets with a woman or a company or your business partners, where there is no reason to contact someone, be in communication with someone. One, especially if you're suing them, and two, if it's over. So who cares if the lady gets a bunch of AI numbers? You know what you do? You stay in your marriage, you put your head down, you admit to everything, you be very transparent, you earn back your trust, and you don't communicate with the person that helped ruin your relationship. So when he says that they still communicate and he lets her know some big hero, it's the problem is, Brian, is you shouldn't be in this pickle in the first place. That's the thing.
Right.
If you weren't in this pickle, you went to do damage control. And then if you're not being honest while you're doing damage control, you're not going to come off as a liar. And you're not going to be stuck in these situations where people are clocking your timestamps and the receipts and all that. And that's where it is. It's you don't what did Alicia say? He might be a foot doctor, but he's not working on feet. It's like he keeps on stepping in mud, and that's where it's you gotta give it to Rulla, where she's been a very beautifully handled woman. Where I mean, if we went to go see my mother-in-law in the hospital and he came back and his wedding ring's off again, they went back and rolled the tape. His wedding ring was on at Angela's.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
off. These are just really
another good point.
inconsistencies where it's their inconsistencies where they're like, even if they're all, say if they're complete lies, which I can't imagine with anybody. If there's 10 things that say you walk like a duck and you quack like a duck, you're a duck, right? If you are still this sloppy, how are you, like Jo-Ellen said, if my husband was caught, unfortunately, ever stepping out on me and continuing to, that wedding ring would be branded on his finger, right? You would be like, the fact that she's like, oh, he does surgery. Oh, what was it? He was putting gel in his son's hair.
No, right. He doesn't feel comfortable wearing it during surgery.
But he had it 2 hours ago.
That's interesting.
That's the problem.
I will say this.
He's not being consistent. So someone's going to smoke him out if he keeps on. You're on national television with a group of very intelligent women who care for, you can tell they deep down, I think, care for Rulla.
Right.
And they are going to sniff this out.
My personal take on this, and obviously a lot of this, whether or not Brian is in this is all alleged stuff, but I will say this regarding Rulla. My personal take is, and I think you agree with this, you were talking about Rulla being very smart. No one's going to pull the wool over Rulla's eyes. And I have a feeling, my theory is wants to keep whatever drama is going, and then the answer is why join Housewives, right? But whatever is going on in her house, she wants to keep it in the house. And everyone else, even her close friends, I think she's putting on a brave face. But I think the good news is Rulla is not the one who's going to get completely 100% hoodwinked by the whole deal.
No.
Meaning she's smart. She's smarter than the room. And I think she just doesn't want people meddling in her business. That's just my theory.
And listen, nobody does. No one wants someone meddling in business. The problem is woman to woman, friend to friend. I mean, we're besties. You would tell me, I would tell you, is no one wants to be the bearer of bad news. But at the same time, is even if she has a long-term angle or whatever, it's just emotionally taxing to when you have people after your relationship. But the problem is like she made a good point after leaving Liz's party, is her husband's supposed to be the one. I really respect him when Gary stuck up for his wife. Is Brian is not stepping up for the family. This is when you do you get your voice. You step up for your wife. You say, you know what? I don't really like this. Like he's just being, and I think that Jo-Ellen, and we ended the episode with this, is she made an amazing state of fact where she was like, I think that he's too complacent and he's too chicken to leave Rulla. He wants Rulla to leave him, which is 101. That's psychological warfare. That's hurting someone's feelings. That's really destroying the trust. I think that he's really doing, infidelity is a terrible thing. And it's something that I don't stand on, and I would be devastated. But I don't think he also understands the emotional impact of having to deal with this, and psychologically having to put out the fires. It's like it's a double-edged sword for her, because not only is she being spoken about in her friend circle, she's also having a husband who's not being supportive because he doesn't want to show up for his family and address, like
that's right.
He needs to show up for his wife.
He doesn't want to do it. Who wants to do it? But if you actually just
he's letting his wife do it. He's doing his wife to do it, and that's not fair. That's
dirty
psychological warfare. Yes.
Yeah, you did the dirty work with that infidelity that you said happened, it's in the past and he's moving forward. But sometimes people would appreciate if you're really moving forward, take it in the chin, be front facing about it, take accountability. I
But
maybe you
also
have
don't let your wife who you love and
speak for you.
respect and have 2 kids with take the entire alleged affair like to the face. That is not, I don't know. I'm personally coming off an interesting breakup as well, and nothing is worse is you don't know which is worse. You don't know the lesser of two evils. Someone who lets you drown by yourself or someone who let you drown without a life raft. Both
That's
are
right.
terrible. But when you're both doing them by yourself, he's not showing up as a good husband or a good guy or even someone who loves and respects her, because he should be giving her nothing but a life raft, the boat, the Titanic, everything to be like, we're in this together. And he's still being selfish. And it's almost, and again, allegedly, he's almost acting if he's in love with these other women, because he's really, really not seeming to care too much about the chatter and how it's destroying his wife and his family and the kids.
Well, yeah, again, this is episode 5. We have 7 more episodes to see. Will Brian take accountability, take a couple of plates away from Rulla's overfilled table? Will he help her? I
think there might be like flight receipts accommodation. I would hopefully not a sex tape. I think that Brian is one of those guys who will take accountability when he's having the worst evidence presented where you can't talk your way out of it. And I think, unfortunately, that's going to happen for him and his family. Unfortunately, it looks like someone's going to go to the extreme to prove themselves right.
Well, that's what's funny about this series is that is the biggest quote issue or most spotlighted, not argument, problem or situation in the series. And for me, even if this infidelity and possibly if it's going on or not, allegedly, it wasn't even part of the show, it would still be amazing to me. I love this show so much. Are you seeing something 5 episodes in D that you're not seeing from other Housewives shows? Because I have no context. Can you put it into proper context as the potential of where this show can get? And is it continuously surprising you as the episodes move on?
So yes, so I have to say the context is surprising me. Every time we watch a new episode, it's a bomb after bomb after bomb. That's why I left off Rosie and Kelsey's hair conversation, because I'm like, we're talking about like real issues here. Right. I feel like the women are holding a little bit back with their reaction, where it's just, and a good kudos to these women. It's amazing, but I'm expecting, and again, I'm not advocating for the Housewives to be just like a screaming match, because I don't think that gets your point across either, but everyone's really somehow still on their P's and Q's. And I would like to see them let loose a little bit, where it's have a real feeling. Hey, my husband's a POS. Great. Let's have some wine. Let's figure it out. It's a little too, it's coming off where if I was with some girlfriends, whether I was blindly believing or not, there would be some like emotion behind stuff. You know what I mean? Like a lot of emotion. Like, yeah, like the breaking down with tears, where it's Kelsey has a big weight on her shoulders with her relationship. And then is Brian her second lover? Is he even the right one? Should she go from one relationship to the other? Like I would really like to see these women have some more in-depth in touch with their feelings and just really transparency, as far as don't worry about what the cameras say and the people say. Is you are leaving something that is big, right? Rulla's going through a huge change. How are you just saying that cool as a cucumber? Jo-Ellen is the only one that I really do feel like where she was passionately sticking up for her job, where she's, this is BS. I shouldn't be reprimanded by my job. That's an emotion, bringing her husband into it, having a conversation on camera, clearly off camera as well, where she's like, what am I doing? It's taking away. Those are the moments I would like to see from each individual lady on the show more of, is having her and her husband have, that is a great dynamic. You could tell that they're a very, very supportive couple, where it's, yeah, she's pissed. We have 2 kids. We're trying to put food on the table. I like being a career woman. So those are the conversations I would like to have that aren't just about, it's like, you can't play for the cameras the entire season.
Speaking of playing for the camera, sorry guys, my stupid webcam is really horrible right now. I'm trying to fix it, and I think I'm gonna fix it right now. Hold on one second. I think you got me.
Someone didn't show up to work today. I
I
mean, God,
apologize. I apologize. You got me. You
I
got me
can't
right now,
carry
right?
the whole show. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Hold on one second. Sorry, folks, but okay. But yeah, I just really think that it, I'm not going to argue because all this stuff, but we're 5 episodes in. I do want a little bit more heart to heart stuff. We are skimming the surface
Yeah, exactly. You know what it feels? It feels like they're holding back a little bit.
because they want to get along with everybody.
Yeah, it's very like pageant, politically correct. Again, I don't think they're like snatching each other's hair and having supporting like violence or degrading of other women. But I really think that it feels a little PR a little bit where it's just if I was on national television and someone threatened my job, my relationship, my family, I was figuring out if I wanted to have a baby or not. I would definitely have a lot more emotion than just, oh, it's great. Let me go see what this, even with Kelsey's situation, like, how do you not have this heart to heart where it's like, first of all, girlfriend, how do you feel like you have someone who doesn't want to change for you? That's a huge blow to the ego. Like 11 years and someone's, nope, this is who I'm going to be, which is very, again, it's very honest, but there has to be these moments of how real is it if you're not if it's not throwing you for the loop. And who I think is really showing up in that emotional state is it's Alicia when she is really honest about not having a career and asking for money. Again,
That was good. Right.
Every woman is really leaning into she had a real fear. She doesn't want to get married right now because even though they've been engaged for 9 years, she's like, where's my future going to look like? That is something that is real. That is something that you tell your girlfriends is she was engaged a few times. She still had the commitment issue. They were going to get married after the baby. The baby's 9 now. She doesn't have her name on the deed. She doesn't have her own income. She's scared. And that's what, when you're with your girlfriend and you're navigating through difficult parts of your life, you like, there has to be some self-doubt, some vulnerability, some emotion. So I would really love I really want them to scratch the surface of themselves a little bit. This isn't the congeniality show, and this isn't my life's perfect. This is a show about real women with their real feelings and real situations of their life.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, Dee's wanting some more real stuff from Real Housewives on Rhode Island. I'm personally liking it so far, but again, I'm an easier judge than Dee because she's run the gamut of all these shows, and she's seen the arc. And, well, right now, this is what you were saying it needs more of, but do you see the potential? Are you seeing the potential of this, of where this show can be? Do you think it's going to be more than a 1 season or 2 season situation with Real Housewives on Rhode Island?
I definitely think it is, especially though, just again, with anything, whether it's job, it could be corporate, it could be friendship circles, relationships, family dynamics, work, anything. I think that they got to lessen the reins of being perfect. And just like the title, this will have an amazing impact. I think the show could go the limit, but they got to start being a little bit more real. Like the context is there. It's just the day-to-day delivery of how I'm seeing it is, because this is the interesting fact I thought of, is even though it's shocking and it's, whoa, it doesn't have that oomph that all the other shows have where you're just like, can you believe it type of thing, where it starts and ends on the same note, right? It starts off perfect. Everything's good. Family is, and you're right. Maybe it might be production. Maybe they're going to piece together like the mid-season a little bit differently in the end, but I think it will go the distance if they gotta let up the reins a little bit. Like they gotta start being, again, everyone's very image conscious, but they gotta start being more, I think, dialed in and engaged. Not what they think a housewife is. They need to be that housewife.
Okay, so you want a little bit more reality within this reality television world. And yeah, I think for me, just the superficial playing to the cameras and making it artificial is fun enough. But Dee, you've seen a lot more substance in previous iterations of Real Housewives, and I think that's what you're looking for with Rhode Island. Has a little bit of potential, but it can do so much more. Am I guessing on the yes? Could do so much more. Well, I think that's it for episode 5. What again? What was the title of it? Yes, it's Schooner or Later.
Or Later.
Yes, little inside baseball stuff. I get these episodes a little bit early, maybe a week early, and I procrastinate in watching them. But hopefully both of us will be getting these episodes a week-ish early, and we can come out with these episodes a lot earlier. Again, we all know these episodes are evergreen, so even if we release it several days after episode 5 or episode 6, it's still fine. But who knows? Maybe we might be releasing these pods a little bit earlier. We'll see down in the road. Yeah?
Absolutely. And like I said, and I always want to keep our platform and our network open, where it's always say, let us know. Like, you guys, the fans, the listeners, anyone who's engaging, is let us know. Would you like it before? Do you want us to drop it the day of, after? So I'm always really flexible as well, because I always want our listeners to be super dialed in and engaged and feel like they're a part of this as well.
Well, yes. Thank you, Dee, for being very kind and insightful, and to our listeners. But I'm going to tell you, folks, I'm going to release these episodes whenever the heck I want. All right? I'm just kidding. But whatever. I think most importantly, folks, we're going to get to you these episodes for you in a timely fashion, number one. But even over number one plus, we would love to hear what you're thinking of RHORI. Is it, Deandra made some really great points. Does it lack a little bit of bite and punch? Whereas I'm happy, I'm sort of like Ashley, like the blending in the thing. I'm happy, but Deandra wants more. Where do you land in the spectrum of your expectations and your feelings of RHORI? Hit us up on, I don't know, where can you hit us up? Comment on our podcast, email me at editor@deepestdream.com. I'll ask, Deandra, is there any way people can reach you? Do you have it? What do you want to plug? Your IG, your vet?
We could do the IG. Yeah, I feel like IG is always easier.
Okay.
Please, again, this is a positive, friendly, amazing forum for both of us. No hate mail, no bad things. It's an easygoing type of listening. But yeah, please always at me at, it is at D Miranda. So @_Miranda.
All right. And we will put her, Dee Miranda's, on the show notes for our podcast. And yeah, this is just our second episode. We're slowly getting into it. Do you want to say anything before we get, by the way, episode 6 is going to be coming up in the feed for the next, 5-6 days. And yeah, subscribe to Deepest Dream over on whatever podcatcher you use, whether it's our YouTube channel, our Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever you use. Thank you guys so much for your support. Dee, any final thoughts before we get out of here? And by the way, Dee and I, we're going to just spend 5 minutes for some after show insight on who we are. But any final thoughts regarding?
Again, I just want to say is we're doing it for the listeners, and we really want to just like really, again, this is something that's really fun and it's exciting, and I'm really excited I get to actually see it in real time with you as well. And just one of those things that it's just support us, like our page, watch out, download if possible, follow us, and also send us some questions or anything. But if you guys want to see us change it up a little bit, if we want to cover it and cover something else, I think that we're always open to flexibility and suggestions.
All right, that's it. We'll see you next week here on the Deepest Dream Podcast.
Bye.
All right, guys, we are back. Dee, this is just going to be a couple minutes, but we're just a little bit of just insight on who we are. I have a little thing that I want to share first, but is there something, because I think maybe we can do this like a weekly thing, just sprinkle things. Do you want me to start with what I'm going to sprinkle, and then you want to do your sprinkle, or do you want to sprinkle first, or?
No, I want to copy you.
Oh, you want to copy me?
Yeah.
You're gonna let me sprinkle first, since I'm the old person and I'm the one who needs to sprinkle a lot.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much time we have left on Earth over here, so we gotta. Yeah. That's
the truth. Unfortunately, it's a sad moment, and I hope you take over the podcast when I pass. You will take.
Of course, I will. Absolutely.
Okay, and all revenues you'll split it with my lovely niece Claire. Hopefully down the road. So it's very morbid. Once you make your millions, okay, you gotta help my niece a little.
Hey, I still have the photo of her as a screensaver for when you call. I remember when she was a baby.
Gosh.
It's you holding her as a baby, and that's when you call. That's your picture.
Okay, that's ridiculous. She's 32 now. So no, I'm kidding. She's only 9. But here's the thing. I will tell you, and then you can finish up with your little personal tidbit before we get out of here. We started, Deep Dream Podcast. I don't know what I'm going to put in this pod, but Dee has told me for 10 years that I should get into Bravo. And I've been ignoring her. And over the years, because Dee has had a total career woman these days, and I think our paths just crossed right now. Perfect place. And she's been telling me for 10 years. Finally, I told her, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do Real Housewives of Rhode Island. I'm glad we're doing this. But the little mini lie that I was talking about which is not really live, but I just held out information, is when I lived in downtown from 2003 to 2012.
Mhm.
Bravo was around in 2012. I know this because here's the thing. I used to religiously watch Bravo in 2012, maybe even 2011. And
What did you watch? What was your go-to?
What do you think it was? Do you have a guess?
Ooh, I'd say Millionaire Matchmaker.
Oh, right. What is it? Patty something? I remember way back in
Patty Stringer?
Sanger saying, yeah. I wonder
Sanger?
what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I was going to say, what was it? Top Chef.
Number one was Top Chef. Two was not, no. Number one, Top Chef. Number two, Project Runway. I was
Project Runway.
You didn't know
And
this.
we're besties. I knew Top Chef. Yes.
Oh,
Come on. Like, you were a foodie. I was a foodie.
But I was a huge Project Runway fan. I don't even think, do they still? I haven't caught up with that. And I haven't even caught up with this season of Top Chef as of yet. But ever since then, I've been a Top Chef fan since 2012.
And you loved Padma Lakshmi. You loved her. Remember?
Of course,
you were in love.
Oh, yes, were and still am. But here's the thing with that. 2012, 2011, my daily go-to would be waking up. I'm a morning person. Waking up around 5:30, 5:45, I believe, maybe even close to 6. Waking up, driving from where I used to live in downtown LA in Bunker Hill, driving from Bunker Hill in the morning to Burbank. I would drive from, I know for a lot of people, you guys, 5:30, 5:45 in the morning to get to Burbank from downtown, not too much of a drive, but
no, it's like 20 minutes. It's like perfect time to go.
A perfect time to go before the traffic. But I would go to this burrito place called Corner Cottage because that was my jam, my spot. I would load up on the breakfast sausage burritos with hash browns, and then I'd go to the local Starbucks, have my breakfast burrito, have the Starbucks coffee, go right back into my apartment. It's around 6:20 around this time. Start watching, going right to Bravo, watching Project Runway, and that was many a morning. Sometimes I would, if I didn't want to drive to Corner Cottage in Burbank, if I didn't want to leave downtown, sometimes I would wait maybe a couple of hours. I used to live near this on Bunker Hill. Used to live near this little funicular called Angel's Flight, and I would take Angel's Flight all the way down to Grand Central Market, get myself a nice beer, and take home some food, take the funicular up, and then start my morning, a Bravo morning, with my food from downtown or my food from Burbank to watch Project Runway or Top Chef, which I had previously taped. So that was my Bravo experience. And then
I think you used to have a TiVo back then.
TiVo, that's right. That's it. The TiVo.
You would record your shows.
Yes.
And you'd be at the Noe bar and you'd be like, yes. And you'd be like, oh, I'm recording something tonight. And yes, you had TiVo. Yeah.
Yes, you remember that. So that's my little thing I'm going to share this week, that even though I say it's my introduction to Bravo, it's really not. I loved Bravo 13 years ago, and now this is my reintroduction to the Bravo sphere. So that was my little mini, just Bunker Hill experience. What about you, Dee, before we get out of here? Do you have a little memory from anything?
I remember, so I went to downtown LA at 19, so that was 2009. And it was so different. I was from Orange County, California. If anyone knows San Clemente, completely different than downtown LA, I'll tell you that. And I remember I was hanging out with some friends. I'd hit up the Standard, Library Bar, Biltmore, all these amazing places in downtown. Grand Central Market was one of my favorite places. It was like ethnic. It was something I've never experienced before. I was from a very nice beachy type of town in California. And it was mesmerizing to me. I remember I used to drive I had a Toyota Camry, forest green, 1995. And I used to drive down there and I would just like park some parking lot, right? I could afford it back then. And I would just spend the whole day and I would listen to music. And that's when I've always been into film. And you and I connected with film, and I remember seeing every location. So I was one of those people that did like the walking tours, and I would walk and see every location. Yeah, I'd see every location, and I really fell in love with it, which when I first met you is downtown's architecture. I love something that had Broadway. To me, it was something like New York. It reminds me always of like the backlot of 20th Century Fox or Paramount Pictures or anything.
Right.
So
That's right.
it was something that was so different than what I was used to from a beach town, just very surfer chill. And so, yeah, I remember I went down there and I was like, I'm going to work and live down here. And I always set myself to a goal. And I think I went down and explored downtown. I probably in July, I got a job. I'll never forget August 19th. I got a job. Unfortunately, I had a death in the family. And within 2 weeks, I somehow was able to land myself an apartment, and I really threw myself into the entire downtown experience. And I connected. We were both into film and media at the time. I was a fashion model, so I worked downtown LA. I modeled there for, my entire life. So I would actually have the opposite schedule than you. I would wake up very early too. But to beat the traffic is I would walk to all of my studios and showrooms over there on Los Angeles Street or Main Street. I'd be in the Cow Plaza, or not Cow Plaza, I'd be like in the Fashion Plaza. And I used to work there. I'd get off of work. I would go meet you at the Noe bar. I'd go definitely hit up the Broadway theater and I would see some classic movies. I would do the art walk. I was very into the art walk.
Yes.
Very, very into. Greg and I remember we went to, what was that one cafe where we met the guy, the Onyx Lounge.
Oh, the Onyx Lounge,
and
right?
that guy's
Way
name
back.
was Brian. And we would go in and we do art walk.
Another
And we
Brian.
do wine tasting, and we just became, you and I became best friends where we would just really go and explore everything. We'd check out Little Tokyo for late night ramen. We'd go to the art district for, what was it, wine and like cornhole.
Right.
That place in the arts district. It was next to the Nabisco factory.
Well, there's just one time, there's 2 times during on my birthday where Dee took me to a wine bar, I think, in one of the districts. And it was a really small place.
We had some nice. Hot, like popcorn and like little tapas, and it was very small.
Yeah, very small. I'm assuming that place isn't even open anymore, but it was a really nice place that you took me to. And then Dee also took me to the Pacific dining car, which I believe isn't even open anymore. Remember, you took me from.
It actually closed. Remember, it closed. It was a landmark. It was a landmark, and you and I would go, and we would just geek out because I used to, back in the day when I did model, and I wasn't, before I got more successful, as I remember, I was working at a hotel bar. That's where I met you, Noe, at the Omni Hotel. It was my first job ever. And it was a really whirlwind experience. Again, I remember just going down to downtown LA for the food and the architecture and something different. I landed a job. Within 2 weeks, I moved down there. I really was very green. And I just really submersed myself into the entire culture of a pseudo major city. It's a place where like you would walk a lot. It felt like New York, where like you never drove. You would get delivery back then. Like delivery wasn't a thing where you'd have to call up the restaurant, have the exact change. And yeah, you and I would go down there. And I loved it. I mean, the Pacific dining car, we'd go because I'd get off of my nighttime, like, but I think I was a bartender, and it was open 24 hours a day.
Yeah, we celebrated my birthday. You took me there for my birthday, and one of these.
We went out 6 a.m. one time or 5 a.m. We'd go very early, and we would laugh because Training Day was filmed there, and was it Goodfellas filmed there? Or
I don't know if it was, but definitely Training Day. But
Training Day.
I remember. Wait, what was it? How many days? 200 Days of Summer. What was on that? Yeah.
Oh yes.
That was
200
filmed
Days of
there.
Summer.
And then I never asked you, were you a fan of the Bradbury Building? The Bradbury Building was so nice, wasn't it?
That was your favorite. Yes, but I loved the Biltmore Hotel. The Biltmore Hotel, which is the Millennial.
Classic.
Oh my gosh. Hershey Square was amazing. Yeah. I was the only crazy person who used to take the subway back then too. I would take the subway to Hollywood.
Collateral was filmed. Collateral was Koreatown and downtown. Yeah, back in the day. That was during our time. Collateral, downtown LA. That was it.
It was, but the best I have to, and I don't know if you remember, but the best memory was Greg's he's very dialed in, but he's very like aloof as well. I remember we were walking, and maybe it was around your birthday. It definitely was summer because I remember it was hot as balls that day. Yeah. And I don't know if you remember that, but they were filming iRobot or Mr. Robot. And
iRobot, right?
Christian
Slater, Mr. Robot? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Christian Slater was having a scene, and you and I just stupidly were walking in the LA Times Park, or we're like, they filmed 200 Days of Summer, just talking about movies. I think we were talking about your favorite Brian De Palma. And we literally infiltrated the shot, and they were like, cut. They're like, get these extras, and we didn't even realize. We literally walked on to an episode of Mr. Robot, and clearly you and I weren't talented or pretty enough to make the final cut because they edited us out. But Christian Slater was really cool. What's Rami Malek?
Rami Malek, yeah. Rami Malek, yeah.
He was in it, but that was when Christian Slater was living down there and filming. And
that's interesting.
I mean, we would joke we used to be down there. You and I were reliving down there. He lived on the hill because he's the leadest and entitled, Greg, and I lived down on Spring Street between 5th and 6th, and I was in the art district.
No lies on that one. No lies.
And it was cool because we were always the different worlds collide. Where back then, where I lived in the artsy neighborhood, is there were still buildings where you had to be an artist and produce a portfolio of art to even be considered moving into the building. I don't know if you remember that. There was a lot of art buildings back then where you had to be a true artist, submit your portfolio, show why you're an artist. I was a model back then, so like I said, so I would go to work all the time down there. But you and I have always had these extreme different lives, and it was really interesting because downtown, especially, and films we'd always be tethered together with that.
Yeah. I just remember I was on a date with someone who was a little bit younger than me, and we met online, and
a little younger, I think she was.
How dare you? But I remember I told her I live in downtown, and when we went out just that one time, we were on the hill, Bunker Hill, and she said, "You don't live downtown," and she pointed at the decline of the hill where it goes down to downtown LA. She goes, "That's downtown." And so you're talking about the town of it. That's true. Bunker Hill still counts as downtown. It's at the top of downtown LA. But she lived in the Arts District, which is also South Park area, I believe. Really beautiful area, but a lot more.
It was a historic district. I was before, so it would go Bunker Hill, then it would go Broadway. I was in the historic, and then after historic, it was Little Tokyo, then the arts, and then the fashion. Then the fashion district was more east side near the freeway. But what was interesting about that too is I just remember back then it's really kind that girl was nice to you, because when I used to tell people that I was dating, I lived in downtown LA, they were like, "Why? Do you want to die?" Back then it was still homeless people. They would be like, you'd see a person, again, it was a mini New York, but you would see people lighting trash cans on fire, and it was a very interesting place. I used to call it Zombie Land. It was so exciting coming from the beaches of California. I loved it. I couldn't get enough. Cocktail bars and interesting people and different languages. And again, the architecture and everything was amazing. But we're really, really lucky to experience the rise and fall of downtown LA, because it's terribly now. And it had its moment. It had its moment. I mean, I lived in a building that was 30% occupied. I had 5 parking spots. And like a sick condo that was amazing.
It was a nice place.
It was amazing. My condo was the best ever. But then there's like a halfway house across the street. The crackhead would just scream for 4 hours from the hours of 2 to 6. So after a while, I'm like, I don't think this place is going to take off the way it was supposed to.
Well, hopefully Real Housewives of Rhode Island takes off. Dee had some pointed stuff to say. She was a fan of the show. I'm a fan of the show as well, but she had some really insightful stuff. And, well, she had some pointed stuff to say about DTLA, which I agree with her as well. Recently, there was a person who was set on fire in downtown. Downtown LA is one of my big loves. I hope down the road there.
So it hasn't changed at all, actually.
It hasn't changed.
That was like the news I used to have in 2009, yeah.
It maybe, who knows, maybe it might change again for the better. I don't know. I am holding out hope, and because I'm a little bit more naive than Dee is. She's a little bit more in the world than I am. I'm a little bit rose-colored glasses.
No, beautiful architecture, beautiful food. And what I did love about that place is there was a lot of people, whether they were artists, people on film, TV, and media, culinary experiences, cocktail bars. There's that experiential cocktail bar. It's called the Continental Room. I don't know if it still exists. It should be like the number one bar. It was like the number one bar in the world. It was the same one where there was I think the number one bar used to be Paris for a long time, then Tokyo and downtown LA. So there was a lot of great monumental moments when we lived down there, and especially in film and TV, as it really set the canvas of filming back in Hollywood, but not on the back lot, really giving back to the community, which I appreciated when they would do all the movie sets down there. So I was really happy that we were able to be a part of those. And then we'd go to the Fox lot in Century City and go see a movie that was made in our backyard, and then we'd go write about it. So it was a good full circle time. Stuff. It was amazing.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a nice evening, Dee. But Real Housewives of Rhode Island. Which one?
310 to Yuma. Remember?
Oh yeah, three. I love 310 to Yuma. Yeah, love that movie. Real Housewives of Rhode Island. It's RHORI. Maybe down the line there'll be a Real Housewives of DTLA. It already has a catchy DTLA.
That's called Intervention. The show Intervention. That's true.
That's true. That's good. I need a room shot.
Yeah, Locked Up Abroad, Intervention, Shameless. Like, yeah, those are pretty much the Real Housewives of LA.
That's true. That's true. I like how Deandra just pours gasoline right over my theory, which it's true. It's just a pipe dream.
I miss those bacon wrapped hot dogs all the time. I would go out with my dog at 2 a.m. and get the bacon wrapped hot dogs. It was the best.
But it's not part of it. It's not a Real Housewives moment, folks. But yeah, DTLA. Who knows? I will say this before we get out of here. I'm gonna surprise Deandra. You're gonna laugh at this. Today they just announced they're building a big residential complex, possible high rise in MacArthur Park.
Wow.
Right, it landed with a thud.
That actually, wow, that's
yeah.
I'm just saying, you only go to MacArthur Park if you want some drugs, a fake passport, or get stabbed. So I mean, good for those people, but unless you're going to, was it Cantor's, right? Is it Langers or Cantor's?
I think it's Langers, or maybe a couple blocks away for a Korean spa, right? But that's it. That's the only reason.
Unless you're going to Langers or literally to get some documents, some fake documents, some fake passports.
Yeah, don't go.
I would love to see who's going to move to MacArthur Park because I will be far away from that place.
You'll be far away. Again, we're going to movies. The Ryan Gosling film Drive was a lot of it was shot over in MacArthur Park, and that's
So was Training Day. I mean, so was what's it called? So was American History X, like all like the gritty ones.
Oh, that's a lot of stuff. But again, I like what Dee said.
Night Watcher, right?
What is a Night Watcher?
Or Night Stalker, the one with Jake Gyllenhaal.
All right. Yes, that one. What was that called? But you're right.
Night Watcher, Night Stalker.
I forgot what it was called, but
Night Rider, something.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Yeah, I forgot the name of the movie, but yeah, I remember that because that was a lot of it was set in LA. What a great underrated movie. But that's enough for now regarding the tidbits about me and Dee. Hopefully, let us know what you think of RHORI. And if you've been listening to the whole podcast, my goodness, but yeah, thank you so much.
God bless your soul.
God bless your soul. And yes, if you are in DTLA, be very, very careful. Keep your eyes. Yeah, keep your eyes locked? Dee, just make sure you're left on swivel.
I just say, watch out for you. That was it.
Oh, watch out for me. Watch out for me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. We will see you next week here on the Deepest Dream Podcast. Take care, guys.